Newsflash. We don't know what we're doing.
I know what I'm doing.
Well, I mean, we're going out of our comfort zone here.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like we're kind of off the map. Some might say we're acting a little bit of a castaway.
Mm-hmm. Testing the unknown waters of K-drama this week?
K-drama? K-romance? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a first for us. We're delving into Korean film for our inaugural
Oh boy.
debut. We've chosen a film called Castaway on the Moon.
Yep.
And this is a very well-reviewed video. Like, I'd never heard of it before in my life, but everything that I find online is just completely glowing about it.
This is one of the best movies according to Rotten Tomatoes, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very high percentage. And not just for North America, it's across the board. People in Korea love the movie, UK loves the movie, North America. So who are we to argue with them? We're going to give it a shot.
We just had to see.
Yeah,
you know.
Just give it a try. Because I used to watch a lot of stuff from Korea, from China, Japan, and really
Ninja Scroll.
Of course, Ninja Scroll, but no, I used to sample a lot of things, and I got out of it for a long time. So there's been this backlog and buildup of stuff that I have no idea what the deal is.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just pick one right from the top of the stack. This came from 2009. And it is one of the quirkiest little stories that I've ever come across.
Yeah,
and you equated it to, it was like watching a Korean Wes Anderson film.
Kinda. See, what basically happens is this one young professional man in Korea gets so in debt, over like $200,000 in debt, and says, "Well, I'm going to throw myself off this bridge into the river and I'm going to die.
Just end it all."
Yeah, just end it all. But he lives and washes up on an island.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a struggle of, well, I don't really want to die. I want to live.
Yeah.
You know.
He can't find a good way to die because he's afraid of swimming, and he's on an island in the middle of the Han River.
Yep.
So this
He's
is like
literally like
in the middle of the city.
There's cars going overhead. He can't get anyone's attention.
No, he spends a hilarious part of the movie trying to get people's attention. Just 10 minutes of the silliest stuff I'd ever seen.
Yeah, let's wave my penis around. That usually gets people's attention.
Well, that'd be my first try. It was his last try, but anytime I do it, I get all the wrong attention. And it just comes out of the woodwork. But no, then it turns into a strange story because it's not just about this guy.
No.
There's an agoraphobic young woman, and she lives in her apartment, and she's shut out from the world. She lives vicariously through creating a persona and looking at other people's lives and what they purchase and such.
Mm-hmm.
And she exists on the internet completely. She hasn't left her room in years.
Mm-hmm.
And her parents are kind of accustomed to this woman's rituals, and you know she does her best to take care of herself, I guess, as much as she can.
Mm-hmm.
But shut away, she eats canned food and jogs on the spot, and she doesn't really have too many hobbies other than photography.
Mm-hmm.
And she seems really fixated on space and the moon and stuff like that. And eventually, she ends up just scanning her camera around at one day, and she sees that this man on this island has written in the sand, "Help," or what she perceives as "hello."
Yeah.
And then they find creative and funny ways to start a dialogue.
Yeah.
And enlighten us a little bit more about the cuteness of this.
Well, basically, these two people are stranded in their own way. Some, in the guy's case, he's literally stranded, and this young girl is mentally stranded.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for whatever reason, she doesn't want to go out, and when eventually she tries to, it's always it's basically a covert mission she's running.
Yeah, she's running personal black ops here.
Mm-hmm.
She puts on a lot of protection. She has a helmet on and covers her face from people seeing her, and carries an umbrella at all times.
Mm-hmm.
It's hilarious. She runs decoy strategies with the doorman. It's one of the most endearing escapes I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But then you have this on the other side. This guy that he's been cast out, and he's had a lot of questions about his validity and strength of I've worked so hard and I've only got this and I'm still in debt.
Yep.
And then he starts working towards trying to find a goal to aim for in this very rustic, simple life.
Yeah.
Some kind of affirmation of
I can do it.
Yeah, I'm here. I can live and exist on my own. I don't need how does he put it? I don't need these cards to live.
Uh-huh.
And he's talking about his credit cards and social security cards and stuff like that. And it's a extremely touching story because through the communication, through message in a bottle,
yeah,
they start helping each other. She kind of keeps him sane and makes him realize that there's somebody that's paying attention just to him.
Mm-hmm.
And his actions kind of show her that, it takes a lot, but you can actually go out of your, you can go above and beyond and be more than what you expected you could be.
Yep.
So very, very simple, good messages in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's worth having a look at. But what did you take away from this? Like, in terms of what you saw?
I'd like to think that this movie is a lot about exploration. Like, both these people are going into areas they don't really know anymore. And, even the young girl, when she starts running outside of her apartment at night, she likens it to a space mission.
Yeah.
There's a lot of... It actually gave me a healthy respect for people who do suffer from that. Because it's a legitimate problem. And, you might... I might have wrote it off as, oh, just go outside,
Yeah, it's easy, just do it.
Yeah, it's not that simple. And, it's a movie about bravery and love and finding your own worth, And I think that's a pretty good message,
Especially in this day where, day and age where this problem is not as, it's not as closeted as it used to be. There's people that, to different degrees, kind of suffer from stuff that both of these characters deal with. Mm-hmm. I think it's a great movie that takes that subject and kind of runs with it, turns it in a interesting and engaging manner. I think that's a very valuable aspect to this film. And I took away a lot of the same stuff from that, and it's interesting because lately I've had on the mind this self-sufficiency thing. Mm-hmm. If you had to, could you grow crops and could you fashion a shelter and stuff like that? If everything just went to hell or you got thrown onto a desert island, how good would you be?
A desert island?
Well, deserted island, I guess.
Deserted island? I was like, well, I couldn't... I guess I'd pick what coconuts I could and that'll be that.
Yeah, once the coconuts are gone, I'm gone.
If there's even coconut trees, it just could be some sandy atoll in the middle of nowhere. Well,
there's just a bunch of skeletons leaning against a tree and just looking at you. No, but I found some strange commonalities with the girl, and more than I thought I would, because I've always kind of had a very solitary existence, and I like it that way.
Yeah.
And when I see her, what she's going through, there's a lot of that maybe not to such a hard degree, but it shows up in me as well.
Yeah, your main hobbies are beans and ice cream and maybe
sprinkles,
and that's what gets you by.
Gets me through the day. No, but it's easy to empathize with her because it's easy these days to fall into traps, and me not so much about caring about how you look physically, but emotionally. There was a lot of days in the past few years where I just was like, I don't feel like dealing with anybody. Mm-hmm. I go out of my way to go to restaurants where nobody goes, or go at off times just so I don't have to deal with people getting a cup of coffee at Tim Hortons or wherever. Mm-hmm. And that's in the same line of what she suffers, just on a much lesser scale. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's an important subject. I'm glad that there's film, even though it's not North American, is confronting it. Because I don't think I've ever run across a film like this.
No,
I can't think of a character like that.
Can't think of one that has done it this well.
No, and I guess there's stuff like Boo Radley and whatnot, but you know, Bo Diddley, but they don't explore his character. He's just the boogeyman.
Yeah,
and then when the boogeyman gets in the light, he's not so scary. That's about the extent of it. This is, boy, when her world comes crashing down, the walls fall hard.
Yeah,
and it's an emotional movie. Yeah, it's one that's extremely slow paced because it wants you to sit there and really feel every inch of that knife right in the feels. I don't like that saying, but it's true. It just sits right there.
My entire body is the feels.
My entire body is the feels. No, and that for me that's the main takeaway. Is it succeeds exactly what it wants to do, is tell an endearing story about people with trouble helping each other overcome it. At its core, that's what the movie wanted to do, and it just blew it out of the water.
Yeah, I think it's way better than Castaway.
I do too.
I think there's more exploration in this movie than there is in, say, The Martian.
And what's strange is it was such in a way, a very pedestrian take on it. It's almost like the budget version of both those movies smashed into one. And amazingly done. A very, very beautiful movie.
It's not for everybody, though. Like,
I can see people just not liking it.
Yeah, it's... I wouldn't necessarily call it a romantic comedy.
No, I'd say it's more a friendship.
Yeah.
And
but if you're not really into that, you probably won't like it.
No, it's you got to be in the right mood for this, and
yeah.
There's a reason. Like I've known about this movie for a good month, I'd say, and I've held off because I wasn't in the right mindset for it. Like I knew I wouldn't give it a fair shake if I came in feeling kind of grumpy or not feeling 100% in any way, shape, or form. So tonight was the perfect night for it. I was in the mood, sat down, and boy, am I glad. So. I can't help but recommend it to our viewers. So, hopefully, you guys can track down a copy. It's a little difficult to find. I'm not sure if any of the streaming sites are keeping up to date with your K-dramas, but if you can get a hold of a copy or know somebody that has a way of bringing one in, by all means, do it because it's worth a shot.